Hello, my friends, hello, and welcome once again to stately Vaughan Manor. And today we're going to talk about something terrifying and fun, and that would be this big old book. This is the new Annotated Dracula, which was edited with a foreword and notes by Leslie S. Klinger, the same fella who brought us the new annotated Sherlock Holmes, and he also did Frankenstein, which I'll probably talk about one of these days. You know me, I never shut up. But today we're talking about this one, the new Annotated Dracula, and this is a magnificent version of Dracula. Really great book. If you're a fan of Dracula, if you really like the novel Dracula, you're going to want to get this, because this is awesome. It has all kinds of stuff in it. A ton of information in here, just fascinating facts, a ton of really interesting things in this book. It's fun and it's beautiful. I mean, look at this book. It even has the obligatory Stephen King blurb on the back. Because, you know, he's got to put his blurbs on everything because he's Stephen King. And this is just a really beautiful edition of Dracula. The design on this book is fabulous. And of course, we've got Bela Lugosi right there across from the title page. So that is very appropriate. We get a lot of information on the cinematic versions of Dracula in this book as well. Basically, we do have a foreword by Klinger. We have an introduction by Neil Gaiman, which is really good. It's a good introduction by Neil Gaiman. He, of course, is a big fan of Dracula as we are, has the context of Dracula, putting the novel in historical context, and that is really interesting. There's a lot of information just about that. What came before Dracula, what came after Dracula, Dracula's reception. Of course, it's got a guest appearance by the Count from Sesame Street, because you've got to have the Count in there. Sure you do. You've got a Vlad the Impaler. What is that? A bust of Vlad the Impaler there. That's pretty cool. All kinds of cool stuff in this book. We've got a little bit there about Varney the Vampire, which I've never read. I'm kind of surprised at myself that I've never read that Penny Dreadful. And of course, we've got Ingrid Pitt there. Just all kinds of stuff in that little article. Of course, we've got the man himself, Bram Stoker, who wrote this wonderful book. Got information about the life of Bram Stoker, about his time at the Lyceum Theater with Sir Henry Irving, whose name I was about to forget there. Just really interesting background information. And then when we get to the book itself, this is where we get a lot of really interesting stuff. Pretty much everything you ever wanted to know, and a ton of stuff you never thought you wanted to know about Dracula, it's in this book. You've got all of the notes there in the margins, and you get a ton of notes. Sometimes you get whole pages full of notes. Very often you're going to get that, just because there's so much information. Like, this is literally 2 full pages of notes on the novel. So as you go through the novel, there's a lot of information. You're going to get maps, you're going to get illustrations, you're going to get photographs, illustrating the places in the novel, some historical personages mentioned. There's a map of Transylvania, a bunch of cool stuff like that in here. It's really interesting. Got, of course, the great movie stills throughout. Just great stuff. And one of the interesting things about this edition that makes it different from some others, and that's important because there is no shortage of annotated Draculas out there. there have been a bunch of different annotated Draculas, and a lot of them have been really good. This is a little different, though. Not only is it richer in its information, and not only does it have a ton more illustrations, but Leslie S. Klinger takes an interesting take on this, in that when he does this, he applies what he calls the gentle fiction, that all of this is true. That Dracula actually happened. And so in the notes, he's taking the position that this is all, this book was a real thing, that this actually happened. And he's trying to give you background information on something that really did happen. And so he's got a ton of information about where the dates are accurate or inaccurate. He's got train schedules. He's just got a ton of stuff to fill you in on the actual real-life information behind the story. Doesn't spend time on, or a lot of time on the background of the production of the novel itself, such as the influences that Bram Stoker might have had. There are plenty of other books that do that. This one isn't one of them, not so much. But that makes this book a lot of fun, actually. It gives it an extra dimension to the novel, and it's a really enjoyable read. He's got all these theories, you know, that, for example, that Quincy Harker might have been a traitor who was actually working for Dracula, and other stuff like that. It's interesting the way he does it, and like I say, it's a fun take. Some people don't like that so much, and some of the criticism that this volume has gotten has been because of that. I don't mind it at all. I think it's fun, particularly since there are so many other annotated Draculas and different versions of Dracula that you can get that has all of that other information about Bram Stoker's background and Bram Stoker's influences and things like that. This is more concerned with the story itself. And it was fun, like I said. I like that take in this particular volume. And it is, like I say, a glorious volume. It has lots of appendices in the back. It has the text of Dracula's guest, the short story that might have been an opening chapter to Dracula that was excised, possibly from this version of Dracula, possibly from another version of Dracula. It has a whole section about the dates in Dracula. And it includes some interesting information, like a calendar page from Bram Stoker's notes you've got right there. There's a lot of stuff like that in here. Just miscellaneous cool stuff. It has Dracula after Stoker, which includes some of the books that have been written about the character, because there have been a lot of books written about Dracula. And it'll go into some of the films about Dracula and some of the stage plays. You get a ton of information about that. This is just, if you like Dracula, this is just a treasure house of Dracula. Even the poster to Billy the Kid versus Dracula. I mean, who wouldn't want that, right? So it's interesting stuff, and it's a lot of fun. And if you really like Dracula, or like me, if you really love Dracula, man, this is a great book to have. It's awesome. And it's a perfect book for this time of year. I'm kind of surprised at myself that I'm not reading it. Very often I will read Dracula around this time of year. But that, of course, was before I got on BookTube and had all this other stuff going on. I will get back to it probably next year, knowing me. But yeah, definitely want to let you fine folks know about the new Annotated Dracula if you didn't know about it already, because it's fantastic. Really great book that Leslie S. Klinger put out for us. So there you go, the new Annotated Dracula. It's fantastic, and I will see you guys here next time at Stately Vaughan Manor.